Oh my gosh, have you ever completed a project or a series of projects that you've had so much emotionally invested in that as soon as you're done, you just have this incredible release, like a crash, and then like a good kind of a crash, like an exhausted crash, like, oh my gosh, I'm done, I can finally lay down type of a crash. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how emotionally on edge I was. Oh boy, I just had one of those moments literally a couple of hours ago. And so I was like, when I'm walking today, I gotta talk about that. So that's what this episode's all about.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
So I, earlier today, just finished teaching my Story Bank Get Your Stories Together worksheet, my 3-part story collecting worksheet, so you can tell the right stories at the right time to capture your audience attention and inspire them to action. So in my Influence Army membership, I teach that. It's actually the first class that I taught when I did my founding member launch. And I retaught it today for the first time. So, man, and as soon as I got done teaching that class to my members, I was elated, emotionally exhausted, and free at the same time. It was so crazy, and I was not expecting it. I was not expecting it at all. And it turns out it was from, it was the last in a series of projects that I needed to complete to be able to take a couple days off and be able to rest. And I thought I was taking days off and resting before I'd completed that, and I realized, oh no, like I was still pushing to get things done. And what was so intense about teaching that class was that I'd already had that class taught. And so if you join the Influence Army, as soon as you join, you can, start watching the classes and getting ready to guest speak on 50 podcasts in 100 days and to go on that influence tour. But since I first recorded that class, I don't know, 4.5 months ago, I learned a lot. I've gotten better at teaching. I've gotten better at telling my own stories. I've gotten better at how to design a class so it's more engaging. One of the key things I started doing a couple classes ago was implementing this change. When I was first recording the classes, let's say the first 13 or so, one a week, so maybe it was 14 or 15, I don't know, lost track, but the first thing that, or what I was doing is I would teach the class and introduce the framework and then give the associated worksheet or thing that you would need to complete, and then I'd get done teaching and send you on your way and say, all right, get it done and report back, in effect, right? And keep in mind, it took all my awareness or my skills to be able to do that, because that's what I had the capacity, the bandwidth, the habits in place to teach that much. And so until you build those habits, get good at that initial round of things, once certain parts become habitual, then you can start adding on layers. So it's like learning a new sport. When I learned surfing, it took everything just to be able to stand up and, get in the wave. And I couldn't imagine being so in the moment on the wave that you could anticipate going, driving down the line. That's what you call it. Like you're going on the face of the wave, pumping up and down, generating speed and riding the wave, for an extended period of time. But then as you learn and learn and learn, you get better. And the next thing you know, you're not staring at your feet. You're staring down the line and anticipating what the wave is going to do. Does that make sense? And so it can be the same with learning any sport, or the same with learning any new skill. Maybe you're learning how to play guitar, harmonica, piano, anything on your bucket list. You're like, all right, I'm 50. It's time to learn guitar. I've always wanted to. Or it's time to sing, learn how to sing, or things like that. Or maybe you're learning new skills, how to be on social media, how to make reels, how to market, how to sell. You could go on and on. I could go on and on with examples. But as you learn and you develop those grooves in the record, things become habit in a good way. And so you don't have to spend your mental energy on it trying to figure it out. It just happens. And then you can start doing new and more and new and more. And so as I've been teaching, I finally got, the framework down. Russell Brunson, it's in his book, Expert Secrets. It's the framework on how to teach frameworks. I believe it is. I should have the page memorized, page number. I think it's like 43 or 44 or something like that. But I reference it all the time. I was literally referencing it today. And basically it says, you introduce the framework, just the name of it, and then you say how you learned it and earned it, and then you say the overall strategy of the framework, and then you teach the tactics of the framework, and then you give customers success stories or social proof that the framework worked for other people. And so you can have frameworks within frameworks and multi-levels of when you learned it and earned it, and social proof, how someone's had success with it, and all these things. And I've been following that model, and it's been working good. And I've gotten feedback from my students. They're like, yeah, this is great what you're doing, and oh my gosh, you're getting better. And not that I was ever bad per se, but that I'm more present, more aware, right? Because I'm not having to put so much energy into what the heck is happening structurally in the moment, if that makes sense. So anyway, I had this epiphany after being in a ton of classes, a ton of workshops, attending other people's classes and workshops, right? And learning and doing these things and masterminding and stuff like that. That I would see that people would give the students, the attendees, time to implement what they were learning, right? And so a few classes ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I could introduce the concept, teach it, this, that, offer up the worksheet, and then say, all right, we're going to hit pause, and then you're going to take 10 minutes to do what I just taught you. Right? And then hit start and get into more of the framework that I'm teaching and go, okay, we're going to hit pause, and now you can fill out the worksheet and implement what I just taught you. Start implementing what I just taught you. And man, I found that so effective and empowering, not only for myself, but especially for the students, right? Now they literally can get stuff done on the spot. They can talk about it with other members. They can talk about it with me. And it's such a great way to to get work done and start having success and momentum and wins, right, for the students. So I was super excited to reteach the framework, my story bank, get your stories together framework, and do it in a way where people could hit pause, get work done, and then we'd start up again, right? And now the recordings are like that too. So if you're watching the recordings, when I say hit pause, get the work done, you can hit pause and get the work done. And on the flip side of that, on the other side of that, I was so scared to reteach the class because I was like, what if the first one's great and I'm just taking a good thing and breaking it, right? Or what if the new class that I teach with the new things that I've learned and the new tricks and tactics and things like that, what if it isn't as good, right? And so I was so scared to reteach the class and also to revisit it. I was like, man, I felt like I'd knocked it out of the park the first time. And so it was like, all right, let's find my teaching copy of the Story Bank Get Your Stories Together worksheet and can I recreate what I taught the first time? And man, oh man, I didn't realize how much emotionally I had invested in that. And this is part one too, by the way. So this is just the culmination of months worth of work and putting myself out there and building and testing and trying and teaching and lots of new. And so this was like the last thing on the checklist. Well, the last big thing on the checklist that I needed to get done immediately, right? There's like those big dominoes that you need to knock over to get done. So my to-do list is still fairly healthy, but I got the big pieces done where I'm like, I could take a week off, and I think I need to, if that makes sense. So in the next couple of episodes, I'll tell more about that, but I just suffice it to say that man, I retaught that class. It went good enough. I got the pauses in there. Let's pause so you can go do your work. Oh, what was the other thing I did? A number of classes ago, I started bringing in pictures of the moments that I'm talking about, right? So I was like, hey, 3 years ago, I started writing down my stories, and here's pictures of it. Like, here's the yellow pads where I started logging stories, like creating my story bank. And so that was super cool. And then to be able to share the screen to show those pictures, wow. So tons and tons of gains. So not only did I pause or say, hey, let's pause for 10 minutes so you can get your work done. And obviously the video, if you watch the replays, there isn't a 10-minute pause. If you watch the replay to learn, you just hit pause where it says to hit pause, and then as soon as you hit play, obviously my 10-minute pause is cut out. So it's seamless, right? So you can just hit pause, get the work done, hit play again, and you're good to go into the next part of it. But just sharing pictures of the work that I had done before to make the story more impactful. Oh my gosh, it was so good. So I was super happy about that. But anyway, this episode isn't going as I expected. I just felt the need to record, if that makes sense, to document this moment where so much hard work was completed, the culmination of it, and the rest of the story is, which I'll talk about on the next episode or two, is that, right, I was building an offer. I was building a funnel for the offer. I was building an upsell for the offer, recording videos for the offer, making the products for the offer, preparing for this big marketing convention, and some other things in there. And so all that was getting done, getting t-shirts made, all these things. So I'm going to hit stop. You can listen to part 2 and catch the rest of the story. So anyway, thanks for listening, per usual. And join the waitlist for the Influence Army. Go to theinfluencearmy.com/waitlist. Again, theinfluencearmy.com/waitlist. And when the doors reopen, we'll get you in with a bunch of fun bonuses.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.